listening to Tassie Encounters Moments on Faith FM, and we're coming to you from Tasmania right across Australia. Each weekday at 9 a.m. you can hear what the Bible says about past, current and future events. You can learn how to study the Bible more effectively. You can get to know who God is, why we're here and where we're going. And you can experience personal encounters with Jesus. I'm your host, Jason Cook. And once again, Nick Kross is back in the studio with us, continuing our theme for this week, the journey of adolescence. Welcome back, Nick.
Thank you, Jason. Great to be here again.
It's good to have you here. Now, over the past couple of days, we've looked at three big questions that adolescents, I guess, ask themselves. Who am I? Where do I belong? What was the other one?
Do I have a purpose?
Do I have a purpose? Or what is my purpose? Yeah. And yesterday we unpacked that idea of individuation and how things have changed over the years, and it's becoming more difficult for children to gain the skills that they need as life becomes more complex. But they're also reaching puberty younger and maturing into a full adult later. So there's a much longer period of time compared to 100 or 150 years ago. So
very true.
Sometimes I feel sorry for the younger generation. Life seems, I know the phrase is typically, in my day, we had to walk 10 miles, whatever, but life is complex these days. It's challenging for young people to navigate.
That is very true. And, while we recognise we all grew up in maybe less than ideal situations and life was tough in some ways back in the day, it's a very different context today. You have got social media, you've got a mobile phone that gives you just about everything for free. You can research any topic now for free, online, quickly, when you need it, visuals, videos, whatever you want. We didn't have that growing up.
No.
I didn't have that. I had to go to a phone box to ring up my friends back in the day.
Yep.
So, but I guess I wanted to unpack another element of what happens with young people when they're growing up, and that is that when they hit puberty, our young children start to swap their parents for their friends when it comes to discussing all kinds of things. Up until puberty, they love to sit there and chat with you about what happened during the day, and they got a scratch on their elbow and somebody said something nasty to them and it hurt, and all the sort of gear. They tell you they love you as parents. You're the best dad in the world. You're the best mum in the world. I love you. And all of a sudden, things change. And all of a sudden, they stop talking to you like they used to. And they actually form clusters at school. And it might be half a dozen young people sitting there together, boys and girls, and they discuss a whole bunch of things at school together. And that is everything. They'll discuss God, education, holidays, sex, pornography, drugs, alcohol, lifestyle, worldview, religion. It's all being discussed at school. And often parents are not privy to those discussions anymore. And when you ask them, how are things going at school, they start giving you one-word answers like, fine. What did you do on the weekend? Nothing. Who are you hanging out with this weekend? Not really sure. And they just, it's like the information just stops coming in. And that can be very frustrating for parents. And the other thing is that a lot of young people have got a level of currency. And so you'll have them.
What do you mean about this currency?
So currency is what people have that they bring to the table. So some people bring a personality to the table. They're funny. They make everybody laugh and they're very popular. Other high school students are very talented musically or dramatically or athletically. They're just very fast. They win the first prize in all the races. Or they could be very academic, or they just could be really together, just cool people. And we would call them the ones. They are the alpha males and alpha females of the school, and everybody would love to be seen with those people. Then you're coming down the scale to the 2s, 3s and 4s who are still very popular, but not at that peak level. They're still wanting to be together, but they're very popular. Then you get down to the mid-range, the 4s, 5s and 6s, and down to the bottom end of the scale where a young boy will be sitting on his own at lunchtime with no one to talk to. And that's very sad. They don't have a lot of currency, but people will use whatever they've got to get belonging. And so they'll use their humour or their money or their looks to become popular, and it's an attempt to be accepted, to belong, and it's a tough time. High school can be a very tough journey for a lot of young people today, and the other thing that they do is they have multiple candles burning. So For example, when a young person comes to, say, church on the weekend, they'll dress up in their beautiful church outfits and they will light a candle that says, I'm a good Christian, or I'm a good Jew, or I'm a good Muslim. And they will basically behave like they're expected to behave in their place of worship. Then when they go out on Saturday night, their clothes change, their attitude changes, they blow out the I'm a good boy or I'm a good girl candle, and they say, I'm now a gangster. And on Saturday night out there in town with their friends, they're a different person. The language changes, their friends change, their clothing's changed, their attitude's changed. When they come home on Sunday morning, they light another candle. It's called I'm a son or I'm a daughter candle. They go to university or high school, in the science class, they light another candle. And they have multiple candles burning. And this is where young people, especially now with social media, they can have lots of different accounts on different platforms, and they can be different people in essence. My son has had 2 Instagram accounts. One, his mum and I were allowed to look at. The other one was not kosher, so we weren't allowed to access that one. And that's just a reality that we had to face as our young kids were growing up. Now, the ideal is that we can build enough resilience into a young person so that they can have one candle burning all week. On the weekend, with their friends, with their family, at school, at uni, and they're just the same person the whole week. And we know that we ultimately get our identity from God. He's the one who gives us our ultimate identity. And so adults, what we can do is we can help to build resilience into our young people and help them to feel confident in who they are, have an identity so strong that regardless of where they are, they're not going to be swayed by a tide of popular opinion.
So I have to ask the question, how?
Well,
how do we do that?
This is where we invest. And the more meaningful relationships a young person has with quality adults, whether it's their parents, uncles, aunties, other peers that are grounded and centered, and quality young people, the more of these quality relationships a young person has, that's the social scaffolding, that's the social capital they have, the less at risk they are of getting into trouble with the law, unwanted pregnancies, abusive alcohol use, drug use, all these different things that can happen with a young person when they don't feel they need to have to fit in to the point where they're sacrificing their values.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking about the scenario where you've got, say, a child at high school or whatever. It was a very good description that you went through there of the different aspects of a child's life or an adolescent's life, and they're trying to fit in with each one in a particular way. Sometimes you said that you're trying to have a conversation with an adolescent, and it's very difficult sometimes to even have a conversation. So as a parent, I guess the question would be understanding that there will be these tendencies to have different identities in different places almost. How do we approach that in terms of the practical aspects of, as an individual? I know you mentioned more connections with different people, but as a parent, what are some tips that you could give us?
Yeah, so we have to recognise that when we have a relationship with children, when they're young, it's more of an autocratic relationship. It's time to go to bed. It's time to get out of bed. It's time to put the dishes on the counter. It's time to clean your teeth. It's time to do your shoelaces up. It's time to get ready for school. We have to basically set the parameters. We have to set the grid line for our children. But when they get into their early to mid-teens, and I'll talk about that tomorrow, but when they get into their early to mid-teens, they start to see life differently. We have to start to back off. We have to recalibrate our relationship with them so that we become more of a mentor rather than autocratic leader in the family. If we try to keep them under the thumb for years through their teenage years, you're going to have an explosion and they're going to leave and it won't be pretty. So we're better off to have them at home, even if they're doing stuff and they're not telling you where they are on Saturday night. You're texting them, where are you, or what time are you going to come home? No answer. Okay, live with it. At least they're going to come home and you can have a chat with them tomorrow morning. But we have to recognise that it's valuable having them at home because you can look after them and mentor them better.
Awesome. We've got our personal challenge for you to think about this week. How are you nurturing and encouraging a young person? That's if you're an older person, or if you're a younger person, how can you learn from somebody who's a bit older? How can you connect with a mentor to learn, I guess, how to become an adult.
Exactly.
And I've heard that phrase, some people that I've come in contact with who have actually made this statement that they don't want to do the adulting thing yet. They're not ready for, the real life. So it's interesting. And ultimately, as parents, we are trying to prepare our young adolescents towards adulthood, aren't we?
Yeah. One boy in his mid-20s said to me, I just want to be the boy.
Yeah.
And that's a very popular thing today.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got our book offer coming up in a moment.
This program is made possible by the support of Adventist World Radio.
Our book offer this week is Hope for Today's Families by Willie and Elaine Oliver. There is hope for you and your family. We live in challenging times. Our lives are saturated by information, activities, and senseless expectations. The stresses of modern life make healthy relationships more difficult to achieve and sustain. Couples and children live under the same roof, but communicate poorly at best. Many want the stability of a strong family life, but don't know how to attain it. And this small book can help. Its ideas and solutions come from ancient wisdom, but are as relevant as today's news. So we encourage you to text us in to claim this free book offer today. Text in TEM21. That's Tassie Encounters Moments, TEM number 21 to 0488 880 891. That's for our book offer today. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the spheres of influence in a bit more detail. So do tune in for that program. As we go out today, we're going to be listening to this beautiful song called What the World Needs by Noema Moore. We just pray and hope that you encounter Jesus somewhere, somehow today in your life. We look forward to joining you tomorrow.
The path we trod, we oft come face to face with all the mask we use to hide our despairs and keep the facade that everything's okay. As I take a closer glimpse, I see a world at lost in sin, in desperate need of hope and love. One thing remains is what we need today. What the world needs now is Jesus, hope to all. Peace he brings, it only takes a plea from our hearts to be held in his embrace. If only we turn back and offer our all to the Lord. Watch as all the suffering will end, the pain will cease, and healing abounds in his loving arms.
The cries I hear, the brokenness of faith and love, the pain I see can only dissolve with the touch of the Lord. If we heartfully let go, he wants to bring us peace and healing to us, but we must take a step towards him for him to cleanse us with his grace and righteous blood. What the world needs now is Jesus, hope to all. Peace he brings, it only takes a plea from our hearts to be held in his embrace. If only we turn back and offer our all to the Lord. Watch as all the suffering will end, the pain will cease, and healing abounds in his loving arms. Come to him, all who are weary, rest you will find in him. in today, hope comes in the morning.
'Cause what do we need? No, who do we need?
What the world needs now is Jesus, hope to all. Peace he brings, it only takes a plea from our hearts to be held in his embrace. If only we turn back and offer our all to the Lord, watch as all the suffering will end, the pain will cease, and healing abounds in his loving arms. And healing abounds in his loving arms. Ooh.
This program has been made possible by the support of Adventist World Radio.